My name is Carla Kohida Ingalls. I have been knitting for about 20 years plus. There was a small shop in Ann Arbor on 4th Street that was half needlepoint, half yarn, and I started with needlepoint, and they had a little sweater, a little Peter Rabbit sweater, and I said, can I just buy that? And they said no. I said, but I don't know how to knit. And they said, honey, we'll teach you.
Yeah.
Is that the Needle Nook?
No, it was on 4th Street.
Was it next to the funeral home?
No, it was across, it was when the woman bought it and moved it over to 4th, used to be like the red light district.
Yeah.
I remember
that place.
Yeah.
near the Blue Front.
Was it?
No, whatever.
No. The name will come to me. So I bought the kit, bought the classes, and thought I'll make this one little sweater, and I'll hate it and I'll never do it again. And fell in love. So, as we all know, it's a rabbit hole. You know, you start one thing and you go into the next and you go into the next. So then I wanted to spin my own yarn. So I started taking classes with that, and once you start spinning your own yarn, you want, your own colors. And so I started taking some dyeing classes, and my husband said, I don't mind, but what are you going to do with all this? And I said, I don't know. He said, maybe you could sell it. So we started, sort of dabbling, and I was very concerned that once you start doing colors, you use them all up. And that has not been the case. So what you see in front of you, all of these single skein yarns, this was an idea that actually came out of my husband's head. I was telling some of you earlier, he's a pilot in the wintertime and he's a fishing guide in the summertime, so he goes between Alaska and Alaska and Florida. And he wanted socks that he could wear in camp. After a full day of guiding, he wanted to be comfortable and have something of home with him. And he said, I don't care what colors you make them, but I don't want a pair. I just want single socks. And so I had some, like we all do, I had some yarn on cones, and I just wound up a bunch of single sock skeins and started splashing dye. And I loved them so much that I said, I think these are my 2015 colors. And those are the skeins of yarn that you see in front of you.
What's in the back?
These are his skeins, because I wasn't sure what the yarn was. I knew there was a little bit of nylon in it, so I knew I couldn't sell that. So these were the original skeins that I started with. And then this sock, this is Nick, and this one is Winter Skyline.
Cool.
And this one is Aurora. So all my colors, as I was saying, all my colors are named for people and places that I know. And these pretty much came to me when I was, like I said, I was sort of splashing dye and saying, oh, the crazier the better, and just had a blast. So I thought it would be a great idea to dye these single skeins so that people could do the same thing if you wanted to have crazy socks. So they're all single sock skeins. They're 200 yards each. Or I will also have them in larger quantities if you want shawls, if you want other things. I love the idea of picking out 3 or 4 of them and just knitting single socks, because when that whole second sock syndrome, where you're tired of looking at the yarn and you're tired of, so you make one great sock and you go, wow, that's a great sock. Wow, that's a great sock. And then you go on to the next one. So that's what I've been having fun doing. And because they're new colors and I haven't seen them, sometimes people will bring stuff back to me and say, oh, look at what I made with your yarn. It's all a surprise what they look like. So I've been having a great time with them.
So I know our customers, and even our online customers, just love this crazy yarn and so there is something about the surprise of seeing what the colors are going to turn out like, you know.
Well, it's one of those, when I was doing this,
Thanks.
I'm just going to do another row. I'm just going to see, what does this do? This one surprised me because there's so much of the dark that it striped on its own. This one is swirling.
Yeah.
You
Interesting.
just never know what they're, and this one I thought was interesting because it has the swirling pattern here, and then sort of like pooling and just sort of interesting, almost like an eye.
It'd really be fun to do like a shawl or a cowl with it, I
Yes. Yeah. So they're fun, and I had fun doing them. The other exciting bit of news is that I just had my Kickstarter funded.
Cool.
So I'm now branching into the semi-solids, which I've been doing for Ophir for the last 6 months.
6 months. Yeah.
So you all were the first ones who said, yeah, we love your semi-solids, we want to carry them in the store, and now they'll be available in sock yarn as well as the DK weight yarn.
Awesome.
And I brought a couple, because I've been dyeing premiums for the Kickstarter backers, and I just brought a couple that I had just finished up working on. So I brought those two.
Oh, wonderful. So we already had some of your sock yarn, and then we had
You
a
did.
lot of your DK yarn.
Yes.
And was this considered a semi-solid, this purple one then? Or is this kind
It
of...
was.
Because it sort of
It
is
did.
the same theme.
What? Okay, so I had never done semi-solids before. So when I first started doing that, when I do the multicolors, I lay them out and splash the dye on them, and then wrap them up in plastic and steam them. So you pretty much just sort of leave them alone. With the semi-solids, you have to kind of work with them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So what I learned when I was first doing these was that the microwave dyeing you do one way, and the pot dyeing, which is how I'm doing the semi-solids now, you do a little bit differently.
A little
And
differently.
you have to sort of move that stuff around. A lot of the colors that I use I mix them myself.
Yeah.
So you get some really great depth. But some colors will strike faster than other colors.
Mhm.
So you have to make sure that you're constantly moving that stuff around so that you don't get splotches of, like this one. I love the way it looks. But you can see spots of blue where the blue struck a little bit stronger than the mix.
Yeah.
So, and I love the way it looks, but if you really want something that's more homogeneous, you have to work with it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Any questions? Anybody have any questions for her?
How do you think it would work if someone were to take one of your multicolor yarns and stripe it with one of your semi-solid yarns?
So my friend Sarah came in and bought Crowley. It was the sort of the smoky gray. And she had Jane. And so she mixed Jane and Crowley into a shawl, and it is phenomenal.
Wow.
It
That's
is
what we need to do
absolutely
now.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
And she said, what do you think? Do you think this will be okay? And I said, when you're mixing those things, it's really nice if you want this pinky red color to really pop out, you use something that is similar to one of the colors in here, and that pink is just going to pop out. If you want contrast, then you pick something that's completely different. So this would look great with Crowley, but it would also look great with one of the colors I have called Garth. that is this raspberry, similar to this raspberry color. I think this would look great with a green, or even a purple.
You like
Something
that
if you're gonna go with a deeper, if you want to go darker, I'd go with the purple. If you want to go lighter, I'd go with the green or yellow. Orange even would look nice with them.
No, I can't sit here.
Okay, so, we can probably end it unless there are other questions, because I might have to take my phone, and we can take care of, is it Autumn?
Yes.
Right, you can take care of Autumn. I hadn't seen you for a while, Autumn, I was like worried. Just kidding.
And you're probably hungry
Yeah,
too.
you probably were, I just probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're waiting for